Well, we're definitely kicking off stage 2 with a bang, going to overtime in our very first map here, but in the end, OXG to take the win 14-12. What a match, Lemon, to be kicking things off. And it seems like from the get-go, OXG were kind of running things, but M80, once they started getting comfortable, they started to shine.
Yeah, you're watching this like, no shot. You like woke up from your coma, you're like, no shot that M80 came back, right? And, you know, like Vance is talking about fake comebacks, but this was really both teams struggling defensively. I mean, both teams won either 4 or 5 rounds defensively, like the retakes struggled, but that I think that's more to give credit on the offenses that just stormed into the site and protected it well.
And those moments, unfortunately, like those small moments again, that 1 versus 2 that Scuba was able to convert, that was probably the biggest clutch that really allowed OXG to get through. But again, M80 had their own stuff to say with Nitro with that 1 versus 3 there. So it was really a fight that went back and forth. That was, yeah, the defense didn't look the best here for both of these teams, but I think that's why we had that last timeout that came through from OXG Esports, going through how they just
But M80, I mean, they needed to.
Yeah, M80, I mean, you look towards the head coach and analysts, it's just top of the line. They really know how to dissect teams in their footage. Head coach Happy, assistant coach Gunter, I mean, the whole squad. They've been with M80 through the highs and the lows, winning so many Challengers stages, and this is how it all broke down. So many first bloods from OXG. I remember the first half was a ton of first bloods that M80, you know, were able to equalize the numbers at times and really make those rounds close. Like, even if any OXG fans are watching, like, you were stressed watching that first half, even if it was 7-1.
100%. And also when you're looking at M80 on the attack side too, that 1 round from Verno on a Thrifty, they had a 3K, you know, there was just so many little moments that were capitalized by OXG Esports, but also the same thing happened on the other end too, right? When they had, I'd like to think, you know, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'd like to think when I was looking and watching this game, OXG Esports had a lot of opportunities at player advantages on the defensive half that was converted back here onto great teamwork by M80 towards the end. There was maybe that 1 round where, again, I saw that Xander and Nismo were a little bit split off across the map when they were trying to play that 2 versus 3. But I think it's also very understandable when Nismo was really popping off here on this first map and starting to feel like the groove and starting to land his shots, having great utility on top of that. And it was like, you know what? I'll try to make the hero play. It's a high risk, high reward. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off because they all rotated away from him and way too late on that timing for OXG Esports to capitalize and win that round. So again, I think it's something that, you know, you're going to be a little bit sad that you're not able to convert here into your first map, but at least to be able to make this very competitive against OXG to start things off, this gives you stronger hope going into that second half, or the second map, sorry.
And I want to break this down, talk down a little bit more about these breaches that we got to see in this match, because looking on forward, I mean, Verno had a step-up performance, just barely missing out on that MVP slot to Redux when, and I mean, understandable, Redux just goes nuts on the Rays. And compare this to what we saw coming out of Nismo, because Lemon, for a little bit, Nismo has said some of the performances that he's had weren't necessarily up to par. So being able to see a bit more of a step up this time around is, first off, great coming out from Nismo, and I also think is really nice going on further in the series.
Yeah, look at his face. I could tell, like, that's the face he makes when he tweets about how sad he is about his performance. Like, these guys, they are shooting for the top, and these breaches, it was really down to the predictable versus unpredictable scenarios where both defenses suffered on the retakes because they were very predictable on where you were going to come from. You know, the B side, you retake from the top, and the defenses weren't really allowed to retake because the offense had just downloaded where that push was going to come from. But where both these two breaches shined was how they executed the offensive game plan. That's how both these teams really thrived. And then there were some rounds where you look at how Nismo and Verno positioned when they were playing apart from their team, whether it was in a fault line angle or just in a straight up, like, I'm going to catch this rotate, where Nismo has sometimes suffered in that type of risk, leaving his duo in that 2v2 out to dry.
Well, looking at Nismo in particular and looking at the next map that we have in our series here of Lotus, this is where we get to see a role swap coming on through normally, and I'm definitely have my eyes on Nismo because I feel like, especially with this being M80's map pick here, Vans, that when Nismo gets to have a step-up performance on Lotus, M80, I feel like can normally clean things up pretty well.
That's the good part about it, too, because if you're going into Lotus, that's where Nismo should be going into a raised role unless something changes for an M80 going into the second map. So if you're able to pull out such great utility on the first half, yet still put big numbers in the fragging department, then I think this gives you a great momentum boost, or confidence boost, rather, moving into Lotus, where now you have to create the space and you have to land your shots, because when you're going to satchel through and you're going to be dodging so much utility, you're hoping to get at least your one or two. And Nismo, I think he's going to be able to do it at this point.
And Oxygen have changed their approach to Lotus over stage 1. They started with that single initiator Sky, you know, with the standard KJ Raze, Viper Omen, and now has since gone towards more some Breach Gecko, some more Cypher instead of the KJ. Even Scuba bringing out the Clove, which annihilated the opponent. But is that going to be sort of a one and done comp? Are we ever going to see the Clove again? And that's something that M80 should just be aware of.
It's going to be an interesting one. Sorry to cut you, Sierra, as well, because I almost feel that when Oxygen brought out the Clove here on Lotus, it was just to fight and play team deathmatch against Core, right? Remember, It was actually a map that I think Core beat Oxygen Esports through, and then when they were finding all that confidence and T-Dog was like, we got this, and then suddenly you see Oxygen Esports come out with the Clove and they're just breach footlining or whatever util they were using around the Clove to get all these picks, and then it was just like everybody's just running through and owning everybody. So it didn't even really look like there was something that was even macro oriented. But if they pull this back again against a team like M80, I'm very much looking forward to studying the type of play style that Oxygen Esports has cooked up with the Clove potential.
And we talked about the Breach Gecko from Oxygen that they've pivoted towards, but we just saw how good BCJ got near the end of Sunset there. It was kind of a rough KDA at the start, but like the whole Breach Gecko is M80's bread and butter. Now I wonder if we're going to get that mirror matchup, or really Oxygen, if anyone's going to bring out like a weird agent on a map like this, it would be Oxygen though.
I like how you say that, like they didn't already bring out a agent that we didn't necessarily get to see come out from any other team really, really recently. But I am intrigued with that, considering the Mid-Season Cup, going with the Clove, and then having now that 2-week break to kind of see maybe if they want to lean elsewhere. I have my fingers crossed for Clove. We have our agent select. We won't have to wait long. I'll catch you two later.
Thanks, Mom. She remembered us.
Okay, it'll happen.
Woo! Hands up for Clove.
Not strange. The same comp that I use here against Core, where again we talked about the amount of deathmatch play style you could really bring out here for Oxygen Esports. But remember, this is a type of comp here at this point where if you see, you know, the Clove moving forward somewhere and they're trying to execute towards a site and you want to be in some sort of radius, it gives you an opportunity to know that if you spot the Clove, the lean is going to be towards that side of the map, right? Because you should still be in a good radius to smoke out towards B or A if you lose your life. But if you're going to be dying towards C mount, then maybe they're going to try to lean more towards that area, at least towards the macro side in the mid routing, to figure out how they can control the defensive side here for M80. And on their end, though, they're using the same comp as usual too, something that they're mostly comfortable with, something also that when they start on defense, they didn't allow TSM to get a single round against them on Lotus, which is probably why they decide to pick this map of Lotus, because they know how strong the defensive half could be. So again, quite surprising at this point that going against your opponent's map picks, you're still choosing the side that you're weaker on, or at least that your opponent's stronger on, for you to try to take the advantage. Maybe some sort of play style to build up confidence and momentum, but a great gamble to start with here for Oxygen Esports on the attack.
Yeah, the Viper completely disappearing, so it's going to be some fast offenses. Of course, you still have one controller there of Xander. The paranoia entries are always great for that C site, but looking at the Clove, I mean, it's kind of like a very selfish type of agent where you got the overheal. Yeah, you still have a molly if you want to kind of fight for that A lobby, depending on what side you're on, but it's kind of like a one and done. It's not something that's going to linger there. So Scuba, you lose a lot of utility, but you got a lot of firepower and sustain, especially with the Clove ult. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, as Oxygen are still trying to cross sand.
It starts early too with a wingman to try to get information. Oxygen already looking to pop very quickly. But you already see here Mitch trying to help out from the C side, and they're just trying to default and waste out a couple of util to start things off on C, seeing where the setup could be. If Nitro, if they spot like a Cypher cam or a trip on that area, if they spot a body instead, they know that the Cypher should be somewhere else. And instead of opening the door, they're going to move together as a group and try to pop towards this B site where M80 has his crossfire set up.
It's going to be a bad paint shell. Oh, with the flash too! Oh my god, Oxygen couldn't do anything! What a start for BCJ! And that's off of Oxygen winning both pistols on Sunset, so things looking less hairy now as M80 lost Nismo in the process, which is going to be tough without that util, but Oxygen have set up camp on the C site, and they caught already some rotators from M80 through the top.
So nice, but they're trying to pivot and push towards Waterfall too. It might catch BCJ off guard if he's going to run across, and there you go.
Rip that guy. 3v2, M80 on the retake. All coming through the same entry. You hear the stomping. Scuba! Now with the frenzy. You'll love to see it. It runs out of bullets, though. Don't have to think or aim as hard, but it's an Oxygen win. Another pistol for them.
Another pistol, another Verno standing high and proud right after when the round is over for the side of Oxygen Esports on the attack. He was the one that clutched out the 1v1 as well on the pistol on Ascent when they started things off on the attack. But this was a great start. Look at the aftershock. I'm pretty sure it was a fault line that followed up through as well, or maybe not, but there's still good util that supports here from Nismo all the way from C side for them to anchor up and hold this B site correctly. But unfortunately, it's Scuba with this frenzy playing again very aggressively around the Clove agent to be able to get this pick was beautiful. And now you're just trying to get an orb in the beginning, and hopefully you got picked up just before, but that was a great read here by Oxygen Esports, trying to take advantage of where the orb is going to get picked up, what objectives will be, and then they just punish BCJ off the rip.
You're so smart, because I would have called him a hacker in my ranked game, but it's an Oxygen first blood this time, and M80 had first and second blood and choke the round. It's actually insane how Oxygen can play from behind, but this time they get to play ahead. There will be a camera from Nitro spotting this out, and Oxygen will be aware of this, maybe having, since they have no eyes on B though, maybe they're worried about this door opening, may want to leave someone behind.
They're just fine at this point here for M80, especially after you get the first kill here towards the orb. It's a great call for by Mitch to just pivot back as a group towards the C side, because for M80, you're at a disadvantage. You don't have information. You're not playing a scan agent because your scan agent already died, so you don't really have opportunities to read where the hit would be coming from. So you're just going to gamble stack towards the A site and hoping that after the first blood, because they have stronger weapons on the other end, they just want to try to steamroll towards the A site. But unfortunately, it's going to be a round where you're going to potentially look for exits or die from Spike. And as they're moving forward here, it seems to be the latter, unless Nitro's going to tap this right away, and I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, just no one from M80 showing face at all. At least Redux threw a paint shell and forced the engagement against Xander. You got the door bait opening, Oxygen picking people off as they exit. So they'll take the anti-eco, and this is kind of deja vu. I mean, it's only 2 rounds, but this is how strong of a start Oxygen have, but it's how M80 adapt that we gotta wait for.
Yeah, and actually, this just brought, I was going to say, yeah, but at least if anything, there's no aftershock from Nismo. And then I just realized Nismo is actually playing Breach right now, where we just mentioned before, where it was usually Nismo playing a Raze on this map. So they have gone through role changes to try to keep that onto Nismo with the Breach. There's no more Fade coming through. So my apologies, Chad. I totally zoned out on that one too. So M80 is coming out with something new here on their defensive side to fight back against Oxygen Esports to start things off. And they're trying to find that pressure at the beginning towards Rubble. There's already counter utils coming out. Oh, that's huge. That's huge. VCJ's off it though.
It's just on the box. Can he get out that door? Okay. Might have gotten a bullet in the ankle. But Oxygen know they have M80 scrambling. But they just shoot through the smoke. How does this keep happening? Oxygen will still make their way through tree and have Dapper watch the baby door cross. M80 are not even going to try that one. They've already been exposed. Plant has already happened. Look how Oxygen are pushed up through the staircase. They want to catch M80. They also hear them stomping. Xander thinks he can just smoke it off, thinks he's okay. And Mitch says peekaboo. Oxygen have evened up the numbers.
Thrash is going to get so much info too. This is so good for Oxygen on the full plant.
Oh, he wanted a hug from Koala Noob, BCJ. In jail after that. Oh, walking through the molly? Verno's just that guy in this mode. Okay, he'll get 1, but Oxygen take bonus 2.
I just love that. Again, it's the second buy round that you had from Oxygen Esports. 2 rifles and only a couple of pistols, so they can have a much stronger buy in round number 3. And then, yet, your economy is still going to be very good, especially now with the pulse plan that you know that the round is guaranteed into your favor. You already knew here that M80 was pulling back the last 2 players trying to save their weapons. Just push forward. It's better for you to have maybe a half-buy shield with Bulldog or an Outlaw, and then you're going to have to play against, you know, a much lower buy here from M80, which you see currently. Sheriffs across the board except for Koala Noob with a Marshall, no armor, so they can keep their economy pretty even for a good buy in the next round. And Oxygen, they recognize that, right? They know there's going to be some sort of shenanigan buy that you could have from M80, so you're still making sure that you're using good util, camera to look towards the seaside, and all sticking as a group as well, because you know that, again, on an eco, they tried to stack somewhere to start things off. This time it's towards the B site. So you're just trying to make sure that your trades are going to be perfect, or you're not leaving any lurking rifles behind should you lose against a stack.
And Oxygen don't even need to... Well, they set up their trips to not have to have someone watch the flank, and BCJ just couldn't get that one-tap headshot. Would have been nice, though. Oxygen with that cage. Thank you very much. They're going to disengage from that, happy with the first blood, and even when M80 have gotten... I think it's 2 rounds now that M80 have had first blood and haven't been able to convert, but meanwhile, Oxygen, they're the ones who dictate the start of these games. That smoke will clear. They'll go towards B. And M80 think the C site could be hit. Even if it's not, they could just open the door and go through B.
A nice little read once again by Mitch, right? You're playing at a disadvantage on an eco. You're probably going to say, hey, they're not going to re-hit the site after they realize that we're stacking towards the area. So let's pull back, gamble somewhere else, and it's a repop from Oxygen Esports. And now they're just in a great pulse plan here. At least this most still able to shoot.
Yeah. Mitch
Doesn't
don't even
need to be
have to
raised.
shoot. He just has to keep throwing util on the other side of this wall. You hear where M80's coming from. The Oxygen have their angles covered. And Oxygen, what makes their offense so good is the way they extend out of the site and catch M80 completely off guard. Oxygen have gotten so many free kills from that.
Yeah.
And M80 just gonna see if they can catch Oxygen exiting.
Yeah. At this point, I like it from M80. You're trying not to let them pick up old orbs for you to try to do any type of like fault line util to run back into the site. You have the disadvantage in the weapons.
Sander couldn't keep the gun.
Yeah,
He tried.
At least they'll still be able to buy into the next round. But what was important was not trying to get the ults up for Redux and for Scuba, that you saw them hunting for these kills. So Redux is going to be 1 away because he couldn't get 1 more before he died with the Stinger. Scuba at least will have the res out from the Clove. So now the objective is going to be, will they try to get an orb here towards the seaside? It's already being pinged out, and they have a lot of resources in that area. They might want to be a little bit more proactive instead of going for a trap play with a tap. But you already see here from Oxygen Esports, they're focusing more towards the A side, which could potentially get the orb out right away here for Redux.
Verno is also slowly lapping BCJ on Thrash buildup because BCJ has held on to this one now for 1 or 2 rounds. Verno had that big lock on BCJ to open up the A site. So far, though, first blood for
Scuba
M80.
slipped through, though.
Now,
Scuba
can
still
they
slipped
win a
through.
round?
They only think that there's only one player lurking around the area, and Scuba hears a rotate coming out towards the A side. So this is a simple break baby door and move towards the B side when Scuba has this angle.
Bots are blind as heck. we saw what happens there on Sunset once the smoke clears. Oh, the timing. Redux not looking at the staircase, but man, Scuba is such a confident guy on Clove. He just extends out in areas you don't expect him to.
Preemptive, though, on the overheal, as you saw. He was already still at 50 and 100, but also has an ult, so that's why he was pushing forward, right? So if he dies, he could still ult up and keep them at bay, and this is going to make it so difficult for M80 to try to retake the fight.
No match.
Okay, Oxygen still with a man advantage. The spike planted at B, and where M80 are, like,
You got to save.
you have to cross your baby door. You'd have to come through the top. Where Scuba, you don't even know how he adjusted after pushing through the top site. So M80 playing from a deficit, but hey, they made it entertaining last time on Sunset.
Yeah, but as soon as you lose a player right there towards the baby door, you're already at a disadvantage once again. You realize now hitting tab that Redux has showstoppers, Scuba has the res from the Clove. There's no way you're coming back to retake that moment right here for M80. And this is going to be something that's pivotal coming out from M80 as well. It almost seems that you're trying to figure out at this point, because it's rare for us to play against Cloves at this point, or even seeing it here at a professional level, unless you're watching FPX, for example, in Shanghai, where even the Clove display on that map on Icebox is not necessarily the best either. So you're still trying to figure out on a map like Lotus here, where maybe you do have to be a little bit more proactive. You need to try to waste that ult out as soon as possible so that they cannot use that on top of a showstopper to double clear a site hit. So which is why you have this, I'm assuming you have this timeout coming out here from M80 so that they could try to make sure that, okay, there's a Clove and a showstopper. Would this be towards the seaside pop? Can we fight that a little bit more? One ways maybe is just not enough, and I'm pretty sure they've been hearing Dapper's camera up on the seaside, so there's going to be a lot of chess matches that's going to be coming through here to try to deny the value out of these ults, and we'll have to think deeper here into the playbook on how you want to play against this.
Yeah, but I love that you pointed out that Oxygen have to be proactive because they're at a util disadvantage. So instead of playing like a pawn, Scuba is going to play, I was going to say like a king, but we all know what I'm talking about here.
Yep.
Scuba the king. And Oxygen 5-0, just untouchable right now. But we've really said that these are not defense oriented teams. So as much as we're like, wow, Oxygen are doing great, how did they do in the second half? I mean, it depends how many rounds they do here, but this is a big jump start for Oxygen with the showstopper through the closet. But getting hit there by the trip slowed them down and gave a window of opportunity for M80 to engage, and it worked out. Quality with first blood, Mitch with 2. Oxygen holding it down. BCJ don't even know what hit him.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like, hey,
now
I
he
got Thrash, but I can't help.
Still can't use it. Yeah, you're right. It's been a couple rounds now.
Yeah, they wanted to really try to surprise Oxygen off the hit. As I mentioned before, tapping on the wingman without the wingman and just dying. There you go. So, I mean, as we mentioned, they were definitely trying to be a little bit more proactive, but instead of trying to fight towards the extremities, just not giving a chance here for Oxygen Esports to set up on the pulse plant. So they went for a full flood util. It didn't blind or hit a lot of players at all. I mean, I think I saw where the Dizzy got picked up. I don't know if it was intended to be thrown through the window and that it missed because you saw Koala Noob just satchel across and try to retake the site. And unfortunately, like, he just ran into his death where 3 players died instantly too, coming out from Waterfall to support Koala Noob. So again, maybe we'll have to look back and look back at the tape at that point, but this is going to put M80 at a 6-round deficit.
Oxygen using Clove smokes just as a budget Viper wall, I guess, to just help their way through A long and not having to worry about A staircase, but it doesn't last as long, so Oxygen now have to brawl this through, and it's, when I say Oxygen, I mean just Redux. He really had M80 jumping. But now Redux knows he got the attention of 3 members. This is a weak C site, and Oxygen know it. Scuba takes full advantage. Nitro hasn't gotten a kill this game yet. And Oxygen, they're just on the hunt. They're pushing forward. There's the Clove, all needs to get a kill, and Scuba with 3. That's more than enough for Oxygen.
Oh my goodness, is it so aggressive by Oxygen, but how the hell did Scuba just flick to get that kill into Nitro? He was just running around and then realizing last second the Nitro's there, flicks to get the kill. Again, another overheal that wasn't needed. They're even throwing out the Thrash on the 3 versus 1 to make sure the Koala Noob can save his weapon. Oh, they're trying to even detain him maybe to try to get a knife kill, but there you go. 7-0. I mean, this is Sunset all over again. Except again without an aftershock last second defuse denial, because Oxygen Esports could just hold W with this comp and pop very aggressively every single time. They don't need to play the clock.
Verno has lapped BCJ on Thrash at that point, and Koala Noob not... I mean, he's got the showstopper, so who cares, but even just denying a gun, if he would have got that shot onto Mitch, kind of jiggle peeking there, which Mitch has had such an incredible performance, especially with that 3K that happened a round or 2 ago. Can you stop Oxygen? Well, Redux really faked us when he was all aggressive at the A site, so M80, see if they can slow things down. And Redux just flicks on the Koala Noob who had the lineup. Koala Noob, you gotta focus up. We gotta lock in if you're M80. Oxygen infiltrating tree with the boombot. M80, it's up to Nitro to hold it down with the SMG, and he swings solo with a gun that is not as good as Oxygen's. Instead of, well, I mean, he's on the site, probably couldn't do anything else, but Oxygen have not lost a member yet. Redux got sneezed on, and that's about it. They got Mitch, Util, the fault line coming through. BCJ found, and so was Xander. You can run, but you can't hide against this team, and Nismo don't want that smoke.
Yeah, and we talk about like ults that are always being held back by M80, and so far they haven't had a chance to really get any of that ult out, any of their ults out, because they can't really set up as a group so far. And it almost looked here at that previous round, or the round that just ended here, that there was some sort of trap play that was intended here for M80. Nismo was already primed up with the fault line, looking back towards Rubble if there was contact there so that Nismo could satchel and get a showstopper through. But I almost feel that if you're trying to leverage that and gamble with that play, there should have been potentially maybe a better camera or something like that to get first point information so that they could actually set up on that type of fault line right away into Rubble. And unfortunately, with that type of mistake where you just saw a beautiful entry coming out from Redux, it cancels out the whole plan, and it kind of leaves Nitro out on an island. So there's definitely, unfortunately, here some, M80 coming out with a brand new composition, well, for them. And unfortunately, it seems like it's not as well practiced yet to try this out against the top dog now, being Austrian Esports this second stage.
Yeah, the key word here, yet.
Yes, exactly.
M80 are a team that had such a good map differential last stage. Oxygen with first blood, looking to make this a 9th round. What? How did Redux just leapfrog above a showstopper? Koala Noob, that was a one and done. And now Oxygen have an even bigger advantage. The C site is theirs. Nitro was set up at A, and they just didn't read it well. Oxygen, there's no breaking this.
Signature Redux satcheling over showstoppers. He's done it against Mata before. He's going to do it here against Koala Noob. And this kid has some moves here with the satchels. And when you have Redux and Scuba playing the Clove like a duelist pretty much at this point, there's really no stopping them so far in terms of how you're trying to catch them with util, how this comp currently being built for M80 is trying to trap play so many things, yet they can't leverage that. Look at the end of this round. Xander still has his flash. Nismo still has 2 flashes in a fault line. What can you really do?
Nismo and Xander need to keep their guns, and look, just Dapper running around trying to find them. M80 will manage to keep those. Look at their economy, looking like me out here in this economy, okay? Oxygen gonna make their defensive half a lot easier if they can keep this up.
and he still gets that kill with the Stinger too. That's gotta hurt on how you weren't able to capitalize on the showstopper in the beginning. But yeah, even you saw Dapper chasing players down. Nismo had to use one of his flashes too. That also chips towards the economy of M80 as they continuously go into these half-buy gambles. I wouldn't necessarily say gambles at this point, but half-buy opportunities, and tries to at least try to get a first round. Might work this time.
4-4, but Nismo rolling thunder. If this was even going B, but I mean, M80 have already found out it's going B. They placed the Omen smoke there, as Xander's gonna activate from the shadows to be ready at the top side and taking care of the spike carriers. Huge for M80. Rolling thunder from Nismo, the retake from M80, the prevention of the plant, but as M80 cross the smoke, it's Mission Verno that are just Giga Chad, and Oxygen go up to 10.
But there's that rolling thunder that went through, and I was looking here what we currently still had through the midst of the chaos. Nismo still had 2 of his flashes, so there was no follow-up behind of that when they're trying to clear towards water, clear towards the ramp, and try to make sure they could hopefully blind some opponents while they're being rolling thunder to try to get some picks. Yes, even if you get traded off by players playing out towards Mound, that would give you still an opportunity, at least for M80, to get some sort of map control back on your retake towards the C side. And unfortunately, it seems to be the storyline for M80 this whole series of how they're not able to have the cleanest retake so far against Oxygen. And yeah, you're just going full confidence for Oxygen so far. Every single round has been, let's just pop every single round, because what happens here so far? M80 cannot win any single duel against us, so why try to play some sort of default macro? Let's just play team deathmatch just like we did against Core and show that we can still trade perfectly.
Oh, with a judge. BCJ has the crash. He could just lead off with that and full activated as M80 had already pushed in. Did manage to detain someone on Oxygen, and that's how M80 are gonna vanquish the evil. Just barely.
You were saying that, but it was still Verno in a post plan, so it wasn't. I wasn't really counting my chickens before my eggs hatch. I got that one right this time here.
Last round in the half.
Dot the T's, cross the I's, or something.
There you go. That's exactly what Oxygen is doing, at least on this map, where M80, unfortunately, it took a bit. It took a lot of bodies too for them to be able to get that round. Because look at the first round that they get here from M80. It took 11 rounds, and now on the 12th round, they're still stuck on trying to figure out what buys they could get here. A Guardian, a Bulldog, half shields. While you have, again, a lot of players very close into ults at this point, steamrolling towards this A-side attempt where there's not too much. The raise isn't there to help out, so you're just trying to delay on this side so far for M80.
Okay.
The Boombot clear the box. Kind of fake the door open there. Is that Xander that did that? Yeah, I don't know how much info he got. Either way, Oxygen committing all the troops here at A, and now that the smokes are clear, because their only smokes are scuba, that doesn't last too long. They have staircase open, which Nismo isn't going to engage on. He's ready to maybe just fault line or flash, or even play off of Xander's paranoia, but is M80 playing into Oxygen's hands? And
this is good, though.
They're shifting.
Staying behind the trip. Oh, it's red. They know.
Come on, dude. This one. Oh, got the spike carrier, so you did something, and Koala Noob got out, so.
But now they can grab Orb on C side. Redux is going to have Showstopper. They can pop inside C if they want to. There's still 40 seconds on the clock. It all depends what happens to Scuba at this point. If they could break Baby Door, they already broke it. So this is just, they're going to repop towards B side most likely.
30 seconds
and
left.
You have a lot of important utils set up at A. The Breach, the Omen. The person to defend C is Nitro with 2 trips. Wait. Okay, he tried to jump over it. Nitro's like, you fell into my trap. And he caught his prey. Now 11 seconds left. Oxygen with the showstopper. Trying to just alpha their way through. They got the plant. And they're ready to paint shell once this smoke drops in case there was a swing. No, the Breach is on the right side. Redux extends out and gets caught in paranoia. Still gets a kill. Switches to a different gun. Did some damage. And M80 get back-to-back rounds.
All right, some hope coming out from M80 this time around. This is probably the cleanest retake that I've seen so far at a player's advantage for M80, and these have been pretty good so far, right? Despite, you know, getting some pressure coming out towards this baby door side, they still held their angles and made sure. You talked about it. Dapper fell into the trap that Nitro set right there. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Trap carded him and basically got that round and allowed here. Doesn't allow for Oxygen to get any backstab or any flanks coming through on the pulse plant, and that made it a lot more easier for Oxygen to retake those, retake the site, which has been an issue for them so far, right? Because they're not able to get too much map control anywhere so far in this series to have the cleanest retakes, because they're always having to play a step behind every single time until Oxygen's defaulting. But I mean, this could be a different story. Once again, M80 playing on the attack site with this composition. They also have the same type of opportunity to pop a lot quickly in a different way, of course. But an opportunity for them to, once again, attempt a comeback against Oxygen Esports.
M80 need pistol here. Like, it's a deep need. And they've, Oxygen broke baby doors so they can catch the cross. If M80 decide to go A, and Oxygen heavy leaning on the right side of the map, leaving Scuba to solo defend C. If there's anyone I trust with that, it's Scuba, especially with the Frenzy. As Oxygen bought that last time. M80 just being as quiet as they can. Xander versus the camera.
Camera, flash, fault line, and you're storming through in a team deathmatch.
You got the flash too. The trigger's pulled by M80 as Oxygen try to trade blow for blow, and the numbers are equal. A breach on the other side there for M80 as the wingman will lead the way with the flag, and Oxygen are so injured. And they'll try to leave this encounter as Scuba also tried to converge from the C side. Try to pinch into B as M80 hope to defend this. They know where the push is coming from. 2 coming from the A side. BCJ 3 this round. Verno will pick up the kill, leaving us in a 2 versus 2. M80 just have to play time, but Nitro's forced to engage, and it's Oxygen with another pistol.
And it's the Frenzy every single time doing that aim punch against Nitro. 10 HP remaining there onto Scuba, where unfortunately the RNG going into the pistol rounds was not in the favor of Nitro at all. And I just love the execution that came in from M80, which is why I'm a little bit saddened that they couldn't convert that round, knowing that the baby door was open, that there was something that had to happen because there was zero pressure coming out and nobody was showing themselves towards this A side for Oxygen Esports. So they kind of knew there was some sort of trap play that had to happen through the baby door. So they used perfect utility to flash those players, power through. Yet unfortunately, the duels, it came down to those 1v1s on 2 separate occasions on that B site. That didn't pan out here for M80, and now they're going to be forced by Stingers, Outlaw, and Oxygen, driver's seat to close out here this series, especially with the 2 Vandals that they got in the Bulldogs of plenty. So they have
with
the
just
range.
M80 losing pistol just hurts. You kind of needed to build momentum off of that, and they get so like a half buy with it. SMGs have fun with that, pushing A long of all places.
Yeah. But as we mentioned, right, they have distance in their favor. The best thing is the Outlaw, which is why you're putting a lot on the shoulders of Koala Noob to try to get some information, some entries. Yeah, he slips through towards the staircase, but there's not too much that's going to be able to help him.
We need Koala Pro to go live right now. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Salute. M80 have broken inside of A. Another one. Koala Pro.
Flawless.
We love to see it. A flawless round 2.
Okay, that was actually quite nice. At the end of the day, when you had the vulnerability that was thrown here by Scuba just to push them back towards the baby door, Oxygen kind of knew where the pressure was coming from M80, and they wanted to try to fight that, but they fought against the Outlaw. They realized that quite late into the round because they never challenged M80 in the very beginning here, which came in for a surprise. A beautiful flawless there for M80. And that's going to put Oxygen Esports into a full eco. Trying to get information is Xander holding towards his A side, knowing that there's a triple pressure now from Oxygen Esports on towards A.
I have the spike. I dropped the spike.
So they're trying to pivot towards C, but this one-way clove smoke is going to make things a little bit annoying to start things off.
And that camera from Dapper.
Yeah.
Set up on the right wall. I'm gonna see numbers too. If he uses it, can't tell. But M80.
No, not a way he's walking like that. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Sorry to cut you. It was just looking at how they were working around this map too, is to see now that Oxygen Esports has an opportunity to stack a little bit more here against M80, just because there is no more util being used on that end for the defensive side. So M80 has to use more util or try to lurk a little bit better to try to get information and get the site and get the correct read. And it's perfect this time. They realize that C's open.
All right. M80 have been discovered, and Oxygen are all coming through. Waterfall, you know, minus Redux, but there's a gun advantage for M80. Smokes to cover their trail too, but also to cover Oxygen trying to come through Waterfall as Kowalanu takes a page out of Oxygen's offense, extends through the top, catches Verno. Just drive pushing by himself, not expecting Kowalanu there, and Oxygen can't punish. They were behind Verno.
Playing a distance once again, knowing that it's against pistols. I wouldn't be surprised here if they're trying to go for a more hunt with a bulldog, but because they won a thrifty on that second round, so they have plenty of econ to maybe allow Koala Noob to try to get a showstopper ASAP.
Okay, time running out. Oxygen. Okay, always remember to double tap, kids. Koala Noob really coming alive for M80.
There you go.
And that's where M80 can cope, start the comeback. But 2 rounds in a row, it's the beginning of a sell, you know?
Yeah. And at least for M80, I like it. They stayed inside the clove smoke once it got popped off there by Scuba, knowing that, you know, you want to be a little bit more, you know, you could be cocky at this point for Oxygen Esports. We know the confidence that, you know, they could like to play against our opponents at this point and just tap the spike, make it expensive against our opponents. And I love that it's Koala Noob that stays there, sorry, with the shorty to chase for those kills. Again, now 1 away from the showstopper. That was a big winning condition as well for M80 on top of the round that you won.
M80 just have to play really perfect here. It's going to be match point, series point for Oxygen.
Right there.
And look, Oxygen lean towards the right side of the map. They got 3 watching A lobby. M80 just try to see if they can wait out the storm. Now that the smoke is at least clear, M80 could be walking into the sidelines. The Redux has been such a fantastic duelist. I mean, through the smoke, could you ask for anything more from the guy? Jeez.
Yeah, that's probably the unluckiest thing you could have so far, and that's just unfortunate. Now you're just gonna have to gamble it through because you don't have smokes to execute with. So Showstopper and Thrash investing both to get map control, but less util towards the end.
Does Dapper get out? Do they see Dapper? I don't know, but Dapper needs help. Got Scuba. 911 has been called. M80 planting. They've cleared waterfall, so they know the push can only come from one way. And where Mitch, okay, we got a Thrash time from Verno. And Koala was gonna try and catch up with the Showstopper and nothing happened from other side. Scuba has 1 HP though. That's what we gotta worry about. M80, smell blood in the water. Him dodging the flash. Koala Noob forces the engagement out of Mitch. Saw his toe and Mitch still wins that. M80, we're so aggressive. Nitro with 3. To salvage this round for M80, and they do.
Big round there coming out from the IGL once again of M80, but yeah, the Showstopper was invested early just to cancel out the Thrash at this point. I was surprised too that when they used a Thrash for M80 to clear towards the C site, that you didn't try to curve it back towards your area to at least try to pick it back up. But then I do understand it towards the end. You're at the tail end of your Thrash. You're trying to make sure you're clearing out towards spawn so that you realize that there's nobody close in that area to counter right away when you're trying to set up with a post plan, which then gave a chance for Qualin to set up with the showstopper to delay even more. And a beautiful 3K that came out from Nitro to save the round there for M80, putting Oxygen Esports once again into an eco. This is a couple of hash shields off 3 players. Shares, it's their turn now to try to cycle up an opportunity to get an ult into the next round, and that's Redux one away out of that one. So they might even have him throw his life away once they figure out where the plant is going to be coming down from M80, which seems to at least start things off towards the C site.
Oxygen have stacked the A site, gonna leave B open, play for retakes, and M80 already set up for the C site. So one thing you can count on is an M80 comeback. Whether it's fake or not, time will tell. But how do they get the first blood? That's the question. He sent Xander on a little adventure. He's already smoked, teleported, did a bit of a fake to see what's up in rubble, while M80 take their sweet time to figure out what Cypher util is here and how do we get rid of it.
That's nice. They caged up through a camera inside C site, realized that it's now open, so this is going to be an easy plant. Xander's going to hear the full rotate at this point. And even with the door opens, he might catch some players off guard, but should be in a situation where he loses his weapon no matter what, if there's more players fighting against him.
Okay, good luck, Xander. Wait. Okay, because Oxygen came out through 2 different sides of the door, they couldn't have the 2v1. Xander kills 3. How is he allowed to do that?
So technically, he still lost his weapon, but at least, yeah, made it expensive against Oxygen. But you saw, again, the situation where we're at. Redux is going to have the showstopper within the next round because of that push down. Now Qualinoob with a beautiful shot into Mitch. Mitch is going to be 1 away from his own Rolling Thunder.
Jesus.
But at the end of the day, it's still a round for M80, and the shots are starting to look good. I am also quite impressed, like you here, Lemon Kiwi, of how quick those kills came through, which is, you know, it was a little bit different than the piss round, for example, right? But now you're finally starting to slam the brakes here for Oxygen Esports, and you're trying to close this out as soon as possible, knowing that you have this showstopper now ready for Redux.
Like, I get it, they didn't have as good of guns, but Xander handled this so well. Just not sure if there was going to be a second person coming out the door, readjusted towards rubble. And it's just, yes, Xander has the better gun, but they have numbers. Sheriff still hurt a lot. So the fact that Xander got away with that is kind of crazy. And I'm seeing Qualinoob mechanically really step things up. Like, just having these one-tap headshots, you need that kind of consistency if you're going to hold an angle. And I think that's why Oxygen are starting to break the glass and get the axe out, the fire extinguisher, because it's now, what, 4 unanswered rounds for M80. And we all expected M80 to start picking up back some rounds, especially with the defense suffering, just how good these offenses are. But, ooh, it's a tougher road compared to Sunset for sure.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is still M80. This is still, on paper, an amazing roster in Challengers this season. But yet again, we've mentioned it at the top of the show, this is also an Oxygen Esports that wants to prove here in the Challenger scene that they are the team to beat. There was no luck right now into these off-season wins that they were getting. They were already in an upright trajectory to be able to do very well in Challengers, and they've proven that point so far, and they want to still continue this. This is also the first time that these two teams are really kind of meeting up against each other, this whole Challengers. So for Oxygen to win this series is going to be big for them, and it starts off with a potential Judge Showstopper.
Goodbye. Already called that. Crystal ball. Judge cringe. It always pays off. Getting the spike back. Really good smoke. Well, for Scuba. It was smoking off the spike. They could have adjusted that a bit better, but maybe they didn't realize that the spike was down. They're just trying to slow down the engagement. M80, though, already satcheling onto A, and the neural theft has been activated out of Dapper, so they know where the hit is.
And thankfully, you saw it too after the second ping that there was heavy aggression out of M80 towards that A site. Dapper still has the camera up towards the A site, though. That might be the first piece of util that allows for the retake to get information right now for Oxygen Esports.
Big round for Oxygen. Cool numbers. The exchange, and Nitro tries to go for the multi-kill, but it's Dapper with 2 the anchor that Oxygen really needed to step up. Now he's in a 1v2 and he has a play ring around the Rosie. Spike set on the right side. You hear Nismo jumping. Koala Noob supporting him. And it's easy for M80 in that situation.
And this time the Boombot did not miss to get information from Koala Noob there, knowing exactly where Dapper was at for them to convert that 2 versus 1. And yeah, there was, you know, we talked about it too, that there was going to be a lot less util with Scuba playing as a Clove, where, for example, an Omen adding that extra flash could have been huge, which is, again, why you probably have Mitch and Verno playing in tandem for these attempt of a retake towards the site now for Oxygen Esports. But at the end of the day, this still becomes a very nice hold by M80 off the early information still that Dapper's hat gave away, and a nice conversion, even if Redux got first blood. So a 4 versus 5 that comes out in the favor of M80. A rolling Thunder now and Showstopper available for Oxygen on the defensive side, converting and pinching here towards this B and C lean so they can play a more passive A site. If you're looking at it from Dapper, all he's got left is a camera. And that, once again, is the same camera position that's going to allow for them to retake the site, which is why he's playing this a lot more passively here on the top of heaven.
Celebrating the B. Making a lot of noise, but actually the hit could be going A, and Dapper will read it like a book with the camera. And remember, this was a 10-2 half in favor of Oxygen. All they needed to do was like win pistol, anti-eco bonus, you know, like it, right there. The road was set, and not as much. M80 not letting Oxygen get anything but 1 round on defense is crazy. As M80 have cut noise. Dapper knows that they could be allowed A with the time. They've had no time to go to C even, but rolling thunder from Mitch from the staircase to slow down M80. They're on the site. Redux can't see anything with the showstopper, and he's giving a ticket to Koala Noob. And M80 now have to fight a war against Oxygen to not let them get match point, series point, and the numbers. All for M80. Who won every duel in close quarters. When it got hectic, M80 know how to clutch up.
That was the clutchest Dizzy coming out from BCJ when a Rolling Thunder and Showstopper that should have gotten more information value out of Oxygen Esports. That Dizzy was a huge piece to allow M80 to stop that Showstopper, only getting 1 kill out of that, and then also having perfect trades in the end on top of that. So now you're seeing Scuba forced to save, and Nitro was already on the hunt earlier on, and unfortunately caught in trying to put the smoke down. Nitro catches Scuba, and that, look at the economy you currently have for Oxygen. You now have an opportunity to convert another round for M80. This would be their 7th in a row. And they're not necessarily in a situation here where you have another hero rifle from Oxygen Esports like that first map that changed everything over here for their defensive side. So, man, this is such a huge comeback that started up here for M80, even after losing a pistol round at 10-2. The tenacity continues to be quite strong for the attack side of M80.
Look at where Scuba is. Just with the Sheriff just early peeking. Who would expect him to do that? Scuba has just been an expect the unexpected type of player, which worked out on offense as M80 break into C, and Scuba's in a one-and-done position, hoping just get the one-tap headshot, and against Koala Noob, just didn't expect him to be that close on the box, and M80 have shredded down every defensive plan that Oxygen has thrown at them. Yes, you better believe it. It's an M80 comeback. But, you know, against the weaponry to be expected. But what a big round for M80 if they get all these kills, because they're working up towards almost five ults.
One enemy remaining.
My ult's ready.
There's one of them activated after Nismo getting that kill. Not a flawless, but you're already seeing the economy despite that. Look at the next round. 4 players are going to be at 9,000 credits, while you have 7,900 for Koala Noob. So yes, they're in a great spot so far. Right, they're close to ults. You're a little bit further away now for Oxygen Esports if you're hoping to cycle a couple of these through. And by the way, this is probably the first time that we're going to see, I don't even remember, has Scuba had a chance to even pull out an ult as a Clove? They've done a great job so far from M80 to also not allow Scuba to get too much value, just like he did on the first half when he played this agent. So this already forces out the second timeout. They're realizing now that they're under that heavy pressure now of Oxygen Esports. This lead, this confident push that they had on the attack side is now slipping through, and maybe this out of the box composition that they had, that they cooked, that looks so good on the attack, has finally been figured out here on how they're playing a defense and how less utility, less value they have on a Clove on defense than it would have, for example, with an Omen. They had to start figuring out how they could really try to catch M80. Because so far, they're giving a lot of space for M80 to work with. And when it comes down to retake sites, that's the reason why, right? There's less util. That paranoia could be a huge piece of util for that retake that they don't have. And now I feel that they have to fight a little bit more.
Oxygen looks so nervous on the cameras. And for good reason. They called a timeout 3 rounds ago. And yes, an op for Koala Noob. And also from Redux. Redux knows he has to have a big performance because Koala Noob is doubling his kills right now. And Koala Noob needs that first blood. Oh, just the shoulder of Mitch took a little bit of damage. And because M80 got smoked off from each other, they decide to regroup.
I love that, though. That was a camera set up by Nitro, unbreakable for them to get information, forcing out the first one to shoot so they could actually try to get an op shot through. And they're even, instead of throwing outside of the map, cycling towards C to try to get an entry on that side. And you're trailing behind, you were behind 10-2, and you're throwing these plays off in timeout. And I love this so far from M80. They're starting to feel the vibes. They're starting to feel the confidence, trying to get those picks with that operator. And finally, once they realize that there's nobody really trying to peek out after, now it's time for them to execute. Once again, Oxygen Esports are giving a lot of space for M80 to work with.
Go get him.
Post timeout Oxygen. Buff, debuff, settling the nerves.
Looks ready.
Or also letting them flourish.
30 seconds
Who knows?
left.
Yeah. And Koala Noob has a showstopper off this orb pickup, but it has been hurt by Oxygen. They have 3 players here.
Okay, Thrash on the offense. BCJ detaining somebody on the site. Goodbye, Dapper. Oxygen cut by 1. Showstopper where the sun don't shine, but Scuba just ulted. And there's support close by. Mitch still gets traded, but Scuba's back in the picture because of that. M80. And the spike planted, catching Redux. Oxygen just not in sync with each other on how and when to retake. Verno in another clutch situation that even he can't do. M80 were down 10-2 in the half. And our close to sending us to another OT.
That was so good. Definitely close to sending us to another OT. And ultis were also used on both ends as well. And yes, it looks once again like an overheat from Koala Noob towards the spawn, but to guarantee that kill onto Scuba, to waste out the res, to even get baited out by the res. I mean, it was still beautiful by Mitch to get that kill and how Scuba and Mitch worked that in tandem, but all of that ruckus created enough space for the players to play towards the pillar, towards the forward position, towards the spawn, and not allow Scuba to get any value out of the ult. And now M80, they have the driver's seat, the TP towards the staircase. So much information taken, and it's a fast pivot towards the A site where they have to play the retake once again for Oxygen Esports, where they haven't been good with their own side on the defensive half.
Now, Oxygen didn't want to be too eager. They thought about it, but Redux is coming from another planet. Maybe he can push through Baby Door, and that'll be up to Nitro to win that engagement, or else that opens up the M80's flank. It all depends on how that goes. Meanwhile, Oxygen are going to push through the staircase onto the top side where M80 could be expecting it. Koala Noob gets flashed by Verno. The re-entry begins, and Oxygen can't get a single freaking kill. They just need like a second defensive round win. And Verno couldn't get on the flank. At least Scuba's there to support, but it's just so cooked. M80 are going to even things up with an unstoppable offense.
Yeah, definitely well done by M80 once again. The TP to get the information and the lack of util that presents himself on that retake for Oxygen, trying to go around in one simple smoke towards the entrance of the A site does not allow here Oxygen to get the right chemistry to go for the double flash retake into the site. And again, Nitro's left on the line, but does his job, gets 1 kill on top of that, and keeps the players at bay. Thankfully, though, at least for Oxygen, they're able to save one of those weapons, one of those Vandals that they invested in that previous round, yet they are gambling to buy around that. Mitch only has 150 left because of that weapon that he saved only has 1,000 credits. So there's a lot on the line now for Oxygen to try to convert this bonus, which would be huge for them. Xander's trying to find information to start things off, and they find the time to walk through that. But thankfully here, there's a trip left behind by Nitro. So that will not allow Oxygen to push even further than that.
Timing was everything. Oxygen could have definitely first blooded Xander, but just a second off. And their flank will be detected because of that trip. Meanwhile, M80 break into B. Where on the other side, it was Scuba and Mitch initially holding, but then they pivoted to C, thinking that was the hit. But now Oxygen can coalesce through multiple sides, but extending out of the site is M80 too, as Nismo has the flash ready in case the break-in happens. Oxygen kick down the door, and Redux with the shotgun could be dangerous, and it all goes down here and now. Who will go to match point? Verno with a big double kill, but Koala Noob hunted him down 2v2, and the Boombot added. Boombot got the attention of Redux, and Koala Noob had the edge. And with the spike planted too, Scuba has too much on his shoulders, but making it a bit easier, hoping to get it halfway. BCJ just ran no way! BCJ trolled!
Point 11 on top of that. Point 11.
What a troll. What a troll. Be so for real. That's the round Oxygen are gonna win. Since Pistol, that's what puts them on match point.
A thrift, well, I don't know if it's necessarily a thrifty round, but the economy was so broken. It almost feels at this point, the shorty came out, and I don't think it was able to shoot on time. I'm pretty sure he clicked, and he's like, wait, why are no bullets coming out? And unfortunately, that is the round that Scuba's able to convert at point 11 right after that, when everything looks so good. But now we'll have to hold it through. M80, they don't want to stop. They want to bring the tempo back in their favor. They're throwing out the Odin to start things off. Lots of money still available here for M80. They still have a strong buy. They want to fight towards the A site, but here's an off angle by Verno.
Stalemate. M80 don't think they fully cleared it. Wait! They looked away. 1-1. A good trade for BCJ. Needs to make up for gifting that round to Oxygen. We may not go to OT depending on how Oxygen use these ults. Neural Theft, Clove 2.0, whatever it takes. Oxygen starts stacking towards the right side. Neural Theft there by Nitro. What site looks the juiciest? Going to see.
It's the Thrash again. They know this setup here from Dapper, so they can use the Thrash to break the trips and then gain that space. But already all of OXG have been playing towards the spawn, so they can rotate quickly here.
M80 still haven't planted. There's smokes, there's cages protecting, well, not protecting them, if anything, it's Oxygen causing a lot of confusion. And M80 managed to plant as Oxygen are around the corner. 3v3, Neural Theft from Dapper knows where they're escaping to and cuts them out of heal. Oxygen ready, Scuba with the overheal, pushes further. Third kill for them in the round. As Oxygen want to shut down the comeback. And it's all up to Nitro, who had the Neural Theft earlier. Here's Scuba stepping up, flipping down the ponytails, but the ult! And it's the ult that saves the day. The quadra for Scuba, 13-11 for Oxygen to take the series.
4 kills, a smoke on the top, the util being good when you needed somebody to just hold W and fight. They're laughing on top of that as well. Scuba was the one that clutched it in the last 2 rounds from frags and utility. And you're gonna have to not like it on the M80 side that they had to come down to a 2 versus 1 that it could not convert against Scuba. And Scuba, I mean, there's a reason why he's only put 70 steps in the last month right now, just to make sure that they continue to show that they're the strongest team here in Challengers, beating M80 on a 2-0 series.
The only thing he cares about is taking steps up the ladder of the standings. What a showing. A nerve-wracking one for Oxygen. I'm gonna look back at some defense tape for show, because it all started with BCJ just throwing the knife out, where that would have definitely put M80 on match point and would have set them up for success. And then that Oxygen kind of got that one round to revitalize the spirits a bit too.
You still have to give it to him, though. The reason why he pulled out the knife is to close the gap on that smoke, right? There's still 7 seconds it takes for you to try to defuse fully the spike going in. So he's trying to run through and then jump inside the smoke with the shorty. But the timing that they had to jump through to switch from the knife to the shorty and thinking that he clicked through and not get it, it was the right play to make. It was just unfortunate that he didn't click at the right moment when he was trying to cycle through his shorty. And that, unfortunately, is a round that's going to bite M80 towards the end and give that victory here to Oxygen off great performances here from Scuba.
Scuba's just the GOAT. Like, the amount of times he's gotten another life there, the assist from Mitch to even that closing play, knowing that he had the ult. He had a second chance to not only get information, but even, I guess, clutch up. Because Dapper got messed up and Mitch was on the other side of smoke. But Sierra, were you on the edge of your seat? That match was so insane. What the heck was that?
Honestly, so glad that I made sure that I remembered to mute, because that 1v1 with the shorty jump through the smoke, I screamed. I don't know if my upstairs neighbor's freaking out, doesn't know what's going on. That was incredible, honestly, for that to be the momentum shift in this for the 2-0. I thought at some point with how M80 was stringing things together on their attack vans, we were going to a map 3, but still, what an incredible series between these two teams.
Yeah, and it shows how one little mistake could be so costly towards the end for either of these teams, right? Because think about it again, on the first map, it was also a very strong start, rather, for Oxygen Esports on the first map of Sunset, yet M80 was able to come back and bring this to extra innings to fight. And unfortunately, at this point, this is one mistake that was done by M80 that was capitalized and also closed the series in favor of Oxygen Esports. So again, it goes back to the Battle of the Titans towards the end. These top teams and are at the top for a reason as well, and why these games came down to such close rounds. When you're doing these small mistakes and you can't play perfect Valorant, you definitely know that on the other end, they could capitalize on those. And it definitely showed on both ends. And what a great showing in the end, though, by Oxygen.
And we talked that M80, their biggest demon right now was TTR, was Turtle Trap. I mean, they're demons to everybody. And they haven't faced Oxygen, didn't know what to expect. I mean, they should have probably noted the clove. Maybe they expected that. But the last time these two teams faced was last year when Oxygen didn't have Dapper, M80 didn't have Nitro and BCJ. And both these teams have substantially improved over time. Like, yeah, M80 loved to sell us the fake comebacks, but the fact that they were down 10-2 and almost won this match is so incredible, like the resilience that M80 had. But of course, our MVPs on your screen, Koala Noob had such a good second half to just mechanically really step it up and just edge out a lot of people from Oxygen.
I still can't believe that. I mean, we're talking about a fake comeback from M80, but honestly, the way that it went, how that went down, I mean, I have to give the kudos in the world for them for making it as close as they did, considering it was 11-2 for Oxygen at some point. Crazy stuff. I have to go talk to Oxygen, though, so we're going to have an interview with Verno on the line. First off, Verno, I have to say huge congratulations for the match. Taking the 2-0, how are you and the team feeling, not just after this win, but after taking down the mid-season cup? How are the team vibes been like?
I mean, it's been good. I think we're confident as a team. We're getting more and more confident. We're playing the game well together. I think still a lot to work on, though, but we're doing good. It's good.
Glad to hear the confidence and taking this win today, the 2-0 over M80. Definitely nice to see. I want to talk about that Lotus map in particular, especially since attack sided. It was definitely a little difficult to get a couple of those defensive rounds to be closing it out. So I want to talk about that one big moment. The 1v1 with Scuba BCJ jumped through the smoke. What were the comms like? Was everyone freaking out? Because it was, I think, 9-1 rounds in a row for M80 up till that point.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was super excited. Like, everyone knew that we needed that round really bad, so everyone was hyped.
I mean, it's definitely nice to see the team in high spirits. Looking at this clove that we've got to see Scuba play over on this map as well, it was one that It's definitely so much fun to see. Do you feel like it's maybe something that other teams aren't necessarily prepared for in Challengers, or maybe they're just not prepared for Scuba that's playing this agent going on forward?
I mean, I think the agent, like, it plays really weird. Like, most people don't expect. Like, if it works with, like, Clove dying and then she's, like, they smoke, like, most people don't expect that. But I think Scuba plays it really well because he doesn't just run it down and die every round. He actually plays, like, kind of in the middle, and it works really well. So I think it's good for us.
It's always fun to see what Oxygen is cooking up over there. And you say the team's feeling confident, feeling good. I'd love to know kind of the thought process, what you think that's the biggest thing the team needs to be working on going ahead into stage 2, since it's all about, you know, the next level the team can hit together.
I think we need to work on our defense for sure. I don't know. I think we got like 6 rounds on defense out of like 20 maybe. But yeah, we definitely need to work on our defense because I don't know. We shouldn't have won like half the rounds we even won. Honestly, that was just terrible. But we did really well on attack, so good.
Hey, at least even knowing that there's a couple rounds maybe you shouldn't have quite gotten there, you're still able to take this win. Congratulations, Verno, again on the victory. Thanks for chatting. Have a good rest of your week, okay?
Yep, you too.
Thank you. As for us, definitely a fun series to be kicking off the day, but we still have one more on the horizon. It's going to be Fluffy Aimers going up against Winthrop after the break.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.